Hello, I'm EG and this is Crocheting with EG. And in this video I have a couple makes, and so I'll show those first. And then I do have a couple skeins of yarn. I got a couple from Michaels, and then I did get 2 skeins of yarn from Hobby Lobby. I actually got them full price, or 30% off. They weren't clearance though, so I'll show those. And then I got a couple other random things in one of my variegated videos, just some stuff from Goodwill and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'll show the makes first. And so the first makes are my cuffs here. And so if you see me doing like this in the video, I'm not like being overly dramatic or whatever. What I'm doing is I'm wiping sweat off because, like I said in one of my other videos, I thought it would be funny to use some of that Crafty Secret cotton to make some like sweat dabbing cuffs, because you know it's getting hot or whatever, because it's April as I'm filming this, and it's starting to get hot, and I'm starting to sweat. Even though I have an air conditioner and stuff, it's still because where I live it's really humid when the heat comes, and so I just thought it'd be funny to like use up that Crafty Secret cotton that I'm not really a big fan of, but I am getting some of it, and I had already gotten some of it, and so I wanted to use it in like a funny way and like make these sweat dabbing cuffs. And so I did, and so what I did was I used 2 at a time, and I did that triple up method with each one of the skeins, so it was like working with 6 strands of yarn at the same time, like I did with my original cuffs. And so I used these 2 colors together for the one on my left hand. So it's they're both they're all the Crafty Secret cotton. This is the colorway Yellow Confetti, and then this one is the fairground, or at the fairgrounds, and so it's just kind of white and this yellow together. So I use these 2 together. I think this is the one that I said is like corn yellow, if you saw that video, because I'm such a hick. Obviously if I'm making like sweat dabbing cuffs, you know, like this, whatever. And so and putting my hand up to my forehead like I'm, you know, on a fainting couch, whatever. And so but I used these 2 together for this cuff, and it turned out really nice. I mean, like I said, the Crafty Secret cotton, the colorways are really gorgeous. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like the colors of these. I'm just not crazy about working with this yarn, and even after making these cuffs, I'm still just not crazy about it. I mean, it wasn't as splitty, of course, because I used like 6 strands at once, even though it was like 2, but the way I tripled it up each one, it was like working with 6 strands, so it didn't split as much. It snagged a little bit, but it's still like just like the texture of it too. I'm just not crazy about that, like, because I have really tight tension, and I feel like I have to use really tight tension when I use this yarn, because of the fiber, it does kind of split a little bit, and maybe it's a hook issue too, because I just use cheap hooks, but it does get snagged on my hooks and stuff, and so I feel like I have to have extra tight tension just to keep the stitches together, because the fibers don't really adhere. That's not the right word, but you know what I'm saying. They don't really come together as well as like an acrylic yarn does, and so that's just I'm just not used to using cotton yarn, especially this kind of cotton yarn that's kind of stiff. I did like working with that. I love this cotton. It's, you know, extra soft, but this is just like the stiffness of it too is just kind of weird. And so but they turn out really nice. Like the colors are gorgeous. I love these cuffs. It was just like trying to work with it, and then it's like my hands were hurting after making these, just because I had to keep all the 6 strands together, and also keep all the individual strands together. It was just like kind of a nightmare. Of course it was worth it, because these are like, you know, kind of funny and really pretty and everything. And so that's what this one is, with the white and the yellow. And then the one on my right hand is this more like pink colored one or whatever. For some reason, like when I saw this skein of the Crafty Secret cotton, I felt like this skein was extra small, and so I think that this yarn, or this skein, was thinner than the other ones, because this cuff turned out smaller than this one, and that's why I put it on my right hand, because I'm right-handed, and my wrist is, you know, smaller on this side. So that's why I put this one on this hand, but it just turned out kind of smaller. And I still need to do a tutorial of how I did this. All it is like multiple strands of yarn, and it's just like single crochet, and then you make enough where it'll wrap around your wrist, and then you use the ends that are left to like bring them through the other side, and tie them and make a knot, and then weave the ends in, and so it just makes these cuffs or whatever. And so this one right here is it's a Crafty Secret cotton, the colorway Valentine's, this one, and then this one right here is called hot pink, H-A-U-T-E. I guess that's how you say it, if you're a ridiculous idiot like me. So it's these two together, and so they really blended well together. And so yeah, I love these cuffs or whatever, and it's going to be very convenient when I have to, you know, dab my sweat or whatever. Hopefully I'll, you know, have something to show, like, and I have this skein of yarn, and like behind it I'm just like going like trying to, you know, wipe my sweat away. But I wanted to make those ridiculous, you know, sweat dabbing cuffs with some of that cotton, because, you know, it's functional, and I can wash these. I mean, I can wash the acrylic ones that I have, but I know that these will hold up better than like the acrylic ones after I wash them. So that's like the cuffs that I made. And then I did make another hat cover. I made it with these Pride colors. I used the Premier yarns, which I still need to like, what I need to do is do a video and show, for myself too, to, like, you know, get all of my whips together, all the ones that I've started that I need to finish, and so all that Pride stuff that I made, I need to finish all that, and then I want to use up as much of that yarn as possible. I did that video like months and months ago, trying to match all of the Pride, I mean all of the Premier yarns with the Pride flags or whatever, and I had that system and that I designed, or I had like a shoe rack and have all the skeins on there, and then I could just kind of pull from it as I go and make the Pride stuff. And I need to finish that stuff. I mean, see, I start projects and I never finish them. No, I start projects and sometimes I don't finish them, or I procrastinate or whatever. I do finish projects, but I need to finish that Pride stuff, and because, you know, when I start to put my hauls away and stuff, I'm gonna need that shelf over there, and that, you know, shoe rack thing with all of my skeins on it are kind of taking up that area, and I just feel like that's going to be the perfect space to, you know, stack a whole bunch of yarn and stuff. But I do need to finish all that Pride stuff. But I took the yarn that like the Premier colors, and I wanted to make a hat cover that had like the Progress flag on it, the Progress Pride flag. Of course, I didn't get any brown when I got the Premier order, so I had to use a brown that I already had. I think it was like either Red Heart or I Love This Yarn or whatever, but all the rest of them were the ones, and then the black, no, I used the Premier for that. I do love that, using that Premier yarn. I just cannot believe how more substantial that a Premier yarn is. It's so incredible to work with, and like, I wish it was in stores. Like, why don't they carry Premier yarns in store? I know they have the Premier puzzle in Walmart, a very small selection of that, but why don't they carry like Premier yarns in stores and stuff? I mean, if Michaels had it, or I mean, I know Hobby Lobby won't because they only carry their own brands, but they needed. I wish there was a store where I could buy it locally, where I wouldn't have to buy a big order online or whatever, a Premier yarn, and because, you know, I'm cheap and I don't like to pay for shipping and stuff, and I hate that I have to, you know, buy like a whole bunch of it, or unless I want to pay for shipping. But it's very easy to buy all that yarn, because it was so nice working with that Premier yarn. I cannot believe that they don't have this in the stores, like all the solids, and they do have some variegated skeins. You know, not as big of a selection as like Hobby Lobby or whatever, but like, I love those ones that are like this Premier Mosaic. What's the colorway of this? I should know. I should have memorized it. Prism, yeah, like this. Like, why don't they have this in stores? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, they do have some really pretty yarns, and like really nice and significant and substantial yarn, and really soft and everything. I just don't know why Premier doesn't have their yarns in stores and stuff. I mean, maybe my local area just, you know, has crappy stores, and they just don't have they don't carry Premier yarns. Are there any stores that do carry Premier yarns, or did Joanne ever carry Premier yarns? I have no idea, but they need to get their yarns in stores and stuff. Make a deal with Walmart or Michaels or something. But anyway, so I made this hat cover, and so this is my hat, you know, that I used to cover my bald spot. No, I just like, you know, wearing a hat. And then I made it. Oh, I didn't weave in the ends yet. But this is what the hat cover looks like. I mean, all it is like a beanie or whatever. I'm not, you know, I didn't invent anything. It's just like a freaking beanie, and I'm just like wearing it on my hat. But it looks really nice. I'm really proud of this one. Pun intended, but whatever. And so it has all these the Pride flag, you know, the Progress flag, Pride flag with like the, you know, the trans colors, and then the brown and the black up there, and then the 6 colors down there. So I knew that when I made these hat covers, I crochet 15 rows, although that blacklight one I had to add an extra row because the yarn was a little bit thinner. And so what I did was I planned it out, and so I used black on the top, because I knew that you wouldn't really see that when, you know, I wear the hat, and so you wouldn't see that. And then I did the rows of the other colors, and then I had a row down here that was for the black, and so kind of separated it from the hat. So I think it turned out really nice. And I don't know when this video is coming out, because it's April as I'm filming this, so hopefully it'll come out out around June and Pride Month. I have no idea, but if not, you know, like I said, if you're part of the community, you don't just celebrate Pride, you know, in June or whatever, or October sometimes. You know, we celebrate it all year, so it's not that big of a deal. But I made this, and I'm happy with how this turned out, and the colors are really. I mean, their yarn is really vibrant too. Like even the solid colors are really nice. That Premier yarn, and see, like I can wear it as a beanie, just like a plain beanie. I don't need to wear my hat, but I do like having my hat, you know, with like the brim, because I've gotten used to wearing a hat with a brim or whatever. But I'm just really happy with this one. It turned out really nice. And then the other thing I made, I'd gone into Michael's and just to see if they had any new yarn, and they had some of that. I guess you call it Gigi. It's G-I-G-I. I'm sure it's not Gigi. Whatever. It's so big twist Gigi, and it's this kind of yarn. It's really thick and substantial yarn. Even though it was a little splitty. Like even without all of the little like flowery clusters or whatever, it was a little bit splitty. Because like when I felt how significant this yarn was, I was thinking, wow, this is really nice. But then it got a little splitty in places. This is a 6 super bulky, but I gone into Michael's and I saw that they had this new yarn. And I thought that's kind of weird. Kind of, I mean, more interesting yarn, but I just thought it was kind of weird. And I did take a picture of it and I showed my mom. And I kept like, you know, looking at it every time I'd go in there. I was thinking, this is just like so weird. How would you even work with that? I don't know. And then she looked at it and she said, you ought to get you some of that because you keep talking about it. Because it is like a really interesting yarn. Even though it's a little odd compared to some of the other yarns, I hate that like stores are getting rid of their more interesting kind of yarns. I'm kind of being drawn to these more interesting yarns because I've gotten so much of like the same kind of stuff. And not that I don't love plain yarns and stuff, but the more I come across like Goodwill hauls and stuff, and I come across like vintage yarn in these bags, I'm just thinking like, wow, there are so many companies have gotten rid of a lot of really interesting yarns, and yeah, they're a little odd and they're a little different and stuff, and I'm sure they are more difficult to work with, but still they're more interesting. And so I just wish there was a place on these shelves for like, you know, a lot of more interesting yarns too, to mix in with like the basic ones that everybody's familiar with and everybody loves. But I'm glad that they got this in. I mean, it is a really interesting yarn. And so my mom said, you know, you keep talking about it, and you have that picture. It is really interesting yarn. You ought to get you some of it. And I said, I don't need to spend my money on that freaking more yarn. And this is like, you know, really weird and kind of all these little clusters and stuff on it. But I mean, but it is really interesting. And so I'm glad I did get it. They had a whole bunch of different colors, and I think it took a video or pictures or whatever. I have no idea with my phone. And I'll put an insert shot of like all the different colors they have. I know that they have green because when I went up to the register, it was the young woman that was the one that I gave the keychain to with the crochet hooks on it. And she's a really nice woman that works at Michael's, and she's always really friendly when I walk in there. And we've had nice conversations about like our crocheting and stuff at the register. She's just really nice. And so she was talking about this yarn, and because I was getting 2 skeins, and she said that what she's going to do is she's going to get some of the green, because it is like a really nice kind of plant-looking green, and she's going to use it, and she's going to make these vines, and then create some flowers kind of hanging off of it. It sounds like she has the same kind of ridiculous creativity that I have, because like I could totally see myself doing the same exact thing, because that's like a really cool idea. But the colors I got, this is the big twist GG, like G-I-G-I, and then this is the color teal, this gorgeous teal color. And see, it's just like, you know, basic yarn. It's a 6 super bulky, so it is like a nice bulky yarn. Although there are places, see like right here, it's just kind of like, it's not really thin, but because like it's thicker than a medium 4-weight when it gets into these areas where it's thin. But like the twist in places, it just isn't as twisted as it is in other places. It's just a little, like maybe the way they make the yarn to like make room for all of this stuff that's in it. Maybe they have to have the twist be a little bit looser, or it creates areas where it's a little bit looser. And so it was a little frustrating working through that area, because see like right here, it feels like it's not really twisted very well, which you can't even see. But it is like a really interesting yarn. And so it has all these little, like, it's kind of like big chunks of tweed. It's kind of like a tweed yarn, except there's like these big chunks. It kind of reminds you of like flowers or something. I mean, no wonder that woman at Michael's thought that it'd be a good idea to make this into like vines and flowers and stuff. And so I got the teal. I haven't used this teal yet, but I did use this purple. And so it's the same thing, and the color is purple. So it's a really pretty purple color, and see how all the little clusters in it. And I mean, it is a really interesting yarn or whatever. It was a little, the only part that was difficult working with it, I mean, other than like when it gets a little bit thin and splitty, is working through those clusters. I think you use like a 6 or 7 millimeter crochet hook, or 8 millimeter. And so I used a really big hook or whatever, and you have to kind of take your time and be a little bit slower with it, because you have to pull this through the stitches, and it's not like a little bit of tweed or whatever. I mean, it's like a big chunk of this stuff. And but I mean, it's worth it because it does create like really interesting looking things, but it is a little more difficult to work with. But that's kind of expected when you look at the yarn and it's not like a consistent weight. Of course, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because you're using like regular yarn, and then all of a sudden there's like this big chunk of this stuff here, and then it goes back to the regular yarn. So it's not a yarn that you can use and just kind of just be casual about it. And like, you know how I like to say, I like to mindlessly crochet, and that's why I don't like to follow a lot of patterns and stuff, because I like to just like relax and crochet and not have to really think about it, and just, you know, do like the same stitch over and over again, or the same kind of pattern over and over again. I don't want to have to keep stopping and think, oh, I'm getting to a cluster, so I need to make sure that I pull it through the right way. And like that, it's just not, it's not a relaxing yarn to work with, but it is really interesting and creates really interesting things. And so what I did was I made an EG stitch flower out of it. I mean, it's really cool looking or whatever. And so I made 2 of these, and they're hanging in my kitchen. And then I have one in my bathroom, because I keep sort of putting off saying all the stuff that I've gotten from my bathroom, because I want to show it all when it's done. It's looking like really ridiculous, but like, you know, ridiculously beautiful in there. But I got this purple vase, and I got my mom these purple flowers, these fake flowers. And I got those on Amazon, and I'll show those in a future video when I show my bathroom. And so I crocheted another one of these flowers, and I hung it on off of the vase, and had like the chain around it. So I made 3 flowers with this yarn, and see, yeah, it's a little bit difficult to work with, but it turns out really cool. I mean, it's like a flower with like a bunch of little flowers on it, you know what I'm saying? And they have a lot of really pretty colors with this yarn. And so I'm glad that they got a more interesting, I'm glad that they got new yarn in, period, in my Michaels, but I'm glad that they got some really interesting yarns in. Like, I never thought that they would make something like this, but it's really freaking cool. And so, but anyway, I got these 2 skeins in Michaels, and so even after making 3 flowers, like, this is how much I have left. I haven't used any of this yet. But I got those 2. And then while I was in there, they had put some more yarn in that clearance bin or whatever. They still can't get rid of that skyscape. It's just like a whole bunch of that in there. But they had 2 more skeins of this yarn. And so I'd gotten some of this when they clearanced this out before. I guess these were just like stragglers that they came across or something. But it's the Loops and Threads Impeccable. This is the colorway Light Pink Moline, or now I'm thinking of, what was it, Lucy, when they're on that road trip to California, and Aunt Sally's pecan pralines, or anyway, Moline, or whatever. See, I don't even have to say words that are exactly a TV reference. I say one that just sounds like one, and I start, you know, thinking about, you know, freaking TV and movie references. But it has these different shades of pink and a little bit of a gray mixed in, it, kind of heathered yarn, really nice heathered yarn. And so then Loops and Threads Impeccable, and this is the colorway Shadow Moline. And it's the same kind of thing, except, you know, blacks and grays and stuff. And so these were only $2 a piece. Oh, these I think were like $6.99 or something. No, these were $7.99, which is ridiculous. But I mean, but I wanted to support Michaels for even carrying like new yarns to begin with. But also, I mean, they are really interesting yarns and stuff. And so yeah, they're really small. These are only 93 yards. I don't think this is the kind of yarn that somebody would like make a blanket with, unless they would, you know, want to spend God knows how much getting like, you know, 20 or 30 skeins of this, or however many it would take, because this is a small skein, especially for the price. But at least it's a really interesting yarn, and I did only get 2 of them just because of the price. But and then I was also thinking ahead, like, you know, if I spend $7.99 on each of these skeins, then that'll push me closer to getting a $5 voucher from Michaels. And so at least they have that kind of motivation in when you're in there, because you're thinking like, yeah, this skein is like, you know, $8.99, but you know, it's gonna get me closer to getting a $5 voucher. But whatever. And so if you're anything like me. But those are the 4 skeins that I got from Michaels. And then the 2 skeins I got from Hobby Lobby Lobby that I got full price on the 30% off week is this Scrubology. It's that kind of plasticky yarn, and it's the color Holograph. And what sucks is I saw this yarn. I'm not going to crochet with this. It would drive me nuts working with this just because of the feeling of it. But it is really gorgeous, like all, you know, glittery and sparkly. I don't know why I didn't think to get this when I saw this clearance. It was in the remnants one time, like a month or two ago. And I didn't get it because I thought, oh, it's just that Scrubology yarn or whatever. It's like kind of plasticky, you know, weird yarn or whatever. I'm not going to crochet with it. And I didn't think, like, you know, why didn't I think of like using this yarn as like a decoration thing? Because like I got that loop yarn from Ollie's and decorated my niece's tower with it. Like I didn't buy that to use. I bought it to, like, you know, use as decoration with it. I didn't buy it to actually, you know, crochet with or knit with. So I don't know why I didn't think to like just get this when it was in the remnants, you know, 75% off, and like use it as some kind of decoration. So I kept thinking about it, and of course the next day I'd gone back, and, you know, of course somebody had bought it. But I just kept thinking about it, like, you know, I wish that I would have gotten this skein of yarn because I wanted to use it as decoration. And, you know, speaking of my bathroom, like this is how ridiculous my bathroom is. And so I have like all those pretty bottles and perfume bottles and stuff, and, you know, I have a couple of doilies in there, and, you know, fake flowers. And there's all kinds of stuff in there. It's a really interesting, it's becoming like, it's kind of ridiculous to me, like on this decorating kick and like decorating a bathroom. I never thought of, like, it's a freaking bathroom, but it is kind of fun, like, you know, making room for all this like stuff in my bathroom and all these little bottles, and it's just, it's really interesting and ridiculous. Like you would never think that I lived in there unless you knew me, and then you would think, oh, it's definitely your bathroom. But I was thinking about all those glass bottles, and I'm getting some of the things I'll show. I got some of these little plastic jewel things in Hobby Lobby, and they're over there with all of the, because like I was wandering around waiting for them to clearance yarn one time, you know, a couple weeks ago or whatever, and I was wandering around that aisle, like sort of off the flowers, where they have the stuff for like weddings, and they have these, I don't know what they use them for. I do have the bag in here, I think. I'll go ahead and show this. Hanging gems, and so yeah, see, Studio His and Hers, which is offensive because it could be his and his. You know, I could see this at my wedding if, you know, there's anybody who would ever be dumb enough to marry me. But it's like these hanging jewels and stuff. And so I got some of these. Some of these are hanging in my bathroom. Some of these are hanging like over some of the glass bottles that we've gotten. And then some are hanging on this little shelf that have all of the perfume bottles on it that we've been collecting, and I do have some of these hanging off my light fixture in my living room, and like it's sort of like it feels like a poor man's chandelier. That's what I sort of call it, because it's kind of ridiculous, but because I have like one of those pretty globes on my light, but I don't have like a chandelier or anything. And with me liking like really glittery things and sparkly things and stuff, and I love jewels and things like that, I just thought it'd be kind of cool to, like, you know, hang some of these off of my little light fixture thing in there. And so maybe I will put an insert shot of my light fixture, but that's just like some of the more ridiculous things that I'll show in my videos when they become more like vlogs, even though they're kind of inching towards that because of, you know, me going off on all these variegated things. But I did hang some of these off of the light fixture, and I went into Dollar General, and in the spring stuff they're like those pretty things that you can hang outside. I would never hang them outside because they get all wet and ruined and stuff with the elements, but I guess they're supposed to be, you know, used for hanging outside, or like maybe in a window or something. And it has all these pretty jewels on it and stuff. And so I got some of those to hang off of my light fixture in there, and then I got these to kind of hang off of those. And so it kind of, I mean, it's ridiculous, but it fits in with our house. But it's like a sort of a poor man's chandelier. That's what I like to call it, because it is kind of like that. It's like a pretty little chandelier, a little cheap looking chandelier, but you know, it's really gorgeous, and it's like something interesting in our house. And I do love how pretty it looks, even though it's ridiculous. But I got, you know, some of these, and what I thought was, because I saw a sticker. Of course, the sticker is yellow. It's not orange, so it's not like a. I thought this was a clearance sticker, but I guess what it was is like they were changing the price or whatever, because it says $3.49, and like behind it says $5.49. So I think maybe the yellow stickers are just like a new cheaper price or something, because I don't think they're getting rid of these, because when I went in there looking for some more of these, I saw that these had these yellow stickers on them, and this said $3.49. And so I saw these yellow stickers, and I thought, oh, are these clearance too? Maybe they just ran out of the orange stickers, putting them in all these skeins of yarn that, you know, somebody gets all the time. Maybe they just ran out of the orange ones. And so, but then when I went back in there after I'd cleared the shelf of them, all of these, to, you know, decorate my bathroom and my ridiculous chandelier in there. They had more of these on the shelf. And so what I'm assuming is that the yellow stickers are just like maybe a newer price, like a cheaper price. And so they had to, like, you know, change the price, and it just happened to be a cheaper price. So that's a really good thing. I don't know if the price changed, like, you know, during inflation or the pandemic, or, you know, it had something to do with that. And then maybe, and then with all the shipment stuff and tariffs and all that crap, maybe they had to raise the price, and now they're going back to like a cheaper price, or I have no idea. But this doesn't seem to be a clearance sticker. I wonder if the yellow ones glow too. No, they don't glow like the orange ones do with this, you know, black light. But I did get a bunch of these, and I will put an insert shot of my chandelier, or I already did. But the reason why I got this pretty scrubby yarn or whatever is to kind of decorate my bathroom. Because like the shelf that I have my perfume bottles on, or my mom's perfume bottle, our perfume bottles on, is the one that I got it at Habitat for Humanity Restore. And I gotten this shelf. It's one of those shelves that goes behind a toilet. But the reason why I got it, I didn't get it to put it in my bathroom. What I did was I got it to expand my niece's little shelf that has her Wednesday stuff on it. Because it was before Christmas, and I knew that we were getting her a lot of stuff, like Wednesday stuff for Christmas. And that I might have to expand her shelf. But then she took so much of it home that I didn't really need to expand her shelf. Although there is enough where I could probably put her stuff on a little bit of a bigger shelf. But I didn't need that behind the bathroom toilet shelf thing to, you know, kind of expand her shelf, because it's like one of those things where there's all these shelves, and then there's like just the wire part on the bottom that goes behind the toilet. It's like this big gap there to make room for your toilet. And so I thought that would be like the perfect kind of shelf to expand my niece's shelf with her Wednesday stuff on it, because I could keep her existing shelf and then put that on top of it, and it would add like the storage to the top. It was going to be the perfect thing, but I didn't need it because, you know, she had taken all the really cool Wednesday stuff home because she just loved it so much. And so I thought, well, I'll just, you know, put it in our bathroom. And so it's we have this nice shelf in our bathroom, and we've been putting like little bottles and stuff on it. And I mean, it's really it's ridiculous, but it's gorgeous. But I was thinking about that, you know, that shelf with like all the glass bottles and stuff on it. You know, some of them from Hobby Lobby, some that, you know, used to belong to my aunt because she had a lot of pretty perfume bottles, and we found some at, you know, Goodwill or wherever. We have like a lot of really pretty perfume bottles in there, and I have these like jewel things hanging, because like the top of the shelf, they're like these wire racks or whatever. And so I hung some of these off of the little wires on the rack or whatever, so they're kind of dangling above the perfume bottle. It's ridiculous, but I'll show it all in the future when it's all done. But anyway, so I was thinking about this yarn, and I couldn't get it out of my head that how I wish I would have gotten that skein of yarn, because it is like it's really pretty and holographic and sparkly and stuff. And I thought this would be the perfect kind of yarn to kind of wrap around that shelf in there to make it even more ridiculous in my bathroom. But I think it's going to look really pretty and really sparkly and stuff in there with all of my glass bottles and stuff, or our glass bottles, whatever. They're mainly mine. And can you imagine why? But I got 2 skeins of this. These were our regular $3.99, so I got it 30% off, whatever that was, $2 and something. I don't know where my receipt is, but so I did get those. And so that's all the yarn and the makes. And then I'll talk about a couple other random things and the rest of this variegated video. But in my kitchen, you know, where these flowers are hanging, they're hanging above my sink. And so there's like these little weird double door things, kind of like those ones that kind of fold like that. Like on everybody, like I have a TV reference for everything. Like those ones on Everybody Loves Raymond that kind of, you know, fold like that in Marie's kitchen, or like the ones in Lucy, the doors that kind of go like that, you know, that kind of fold up in the kitchen window. They're kind of hanging there, and then above my sink, I have this hanging there, or I have a couple like funny little signs hanging there too. But I have this hanging there above my kitchen sink, because my mom had that woman that my mom knows that made us the stained glass stuff, and I made her the bookmark, and you know, that woman that's really nice, and she gave us a little pumpkin, and you know, it's sitting on my shelf over here, and so she's into stained glass, and so she had told my mom that she wanted to make her something for Easter, and so she asked my mom like what her favorite color was, and my mom said that she loves violet because, you know, her favorite flowers are violets, and so she made her this little teardrop thing, sort of for Easter, but also just, you know, as a nice gift for her, and it has a purple flower on it. I mean, this is a gorgeous. It's not really like shining through like a light should, because it's a black light, but hopefully you can see what it looks like. You see it's purple. Let me put this white thing behind it. It's something that I'll show here in a minute. But see how the flower is purple, and I mean, it's really gorgeous. It was just so nice. And so what we did when we first got this is I opened up my kitchen window, and I set it all up, and I had her little pumpkin sitting in there, and then I had this sitting in the back window, and then a couple other random things sitting in our window, and my mom sent her a picture on her phone and everything, just to show her how we had it displayed. And we had it displayed in there like all evening. And so then after that, when we had to close the window, I put this like above our sink, and so it looks so nice in our kitchen. And when the window, when the curtains are open in the window, the light shines through it, and it's just like the perfect place for the light to shine through this thing. But it was just so nice. She's just the nicest woman to give us something pretty like that. But that was a make from her. And I guess the rest of the video is just like a bunch of random variegated stuff. One thing I forgot to say in my last video when I showed the 43 skeins of yarn that I got in Hobby Lobby, when I was going through the line, there was somebody ahead of me in line, and the woman ahead of me has a bunch of yarn in her cart, and none of it was clearance, because I could see that clearance. If it was, I would have seen the clearance stickers on it, but none of it was clearance. And so I was thinking, oh wow, she's getting a lot of yarn. And then I sort of felt like, oh god, what if she looks in my cart? Luckily she didn't look in my cart yet, but I thought, what if she looks in my cart and then sees all of my yarn, and like 43 skeins, and they all have clearance stickers on them, and then she's gonna think, god, I got all of this yarn, and I could have gotten some of that clearance yarn, and there he is buying it all. And so I thought, like, what I need to do is I need to like go in front of my cart and like stand there until she's done getting checked out at the register, and like block my cart, because I didn't want her to see that I had all this clearance yarn in my cart. And so I I was in front of my cart, and so like my cart was here in front of me, and then like that woman was sort of behind me, and I was just kind of acting like I was sorting yarn like in front of my cart. And then luckily she didn't see what was in my cart, and she just paid for her yarn and left. But then later on I thought that was a really stupid thing, because I have that really stupid, it's more of like a joke, but like that paranoid feeling in my head that somebody's going to end up stabbing me in the neck with a knitting needle one day, because how I take all the yarn like I do. And so I was thinking that was a really stupid thing of me to do, to like notice that there's a woman in front of me with a bunch of yarn, and so she loves yarn. I don't know if she knits or crochets, hopefully just crochets, because I think I can survive a crochet hook stab to the neck, unless it was one of those little teeny tiny ones, but she had like regular weight yarn. But I thought, how stupid of me to like put myself in between my cart and hers just to block it. But then I had my back to her. Like, I turned my back to somebody that I think it would probably stab me with a knitting needle. I mean, she was just like a random customer, you know what I'm saying? Like, the funny joke in my head, if I feel like, that might happen one day, I'm like, that was a really stupid thing to actually, turn my back to somebody like that. I should have, like, stood in front of my cart and just, like, faced her, even if it made me look like a weirdo. But I thought, don't ever turn your back on somebody that you think is going to stab you with a knitting needle, whatever. It was just like a stupid random thing. And then when I was going through the line, I had my clearance sticker orange cane cover with me on my cane. And what was funny is the girl that checked me out, she had said, oh, the last time you were in here, you had a really colorful cane cover. And that was weird, because I remember the last time I was in there with the pretty one was I didn't even go through her line. I don't even think I got any yarn that day. And so I was thinking, like, that's weird that she noticed that. But I mean, I do go in there every single day, and I walk by the register and stuff. And so she must have noticed when I went in there one of the other days, and I had my different one on my cane. Like I said, after I made that clearance sticker orange cane cover, is like the joke in my head was that somebody was going to notice it in Hobby Lobby, and this is all made up in my head. This is the scenario where the joke is like perfect in my head. So I was going to put my clearance sticker orange cane cover on my cane. I was going to walk through there, and somebody was going to notice. Either somebody over where the yarn was that clearances it, or somebody through the line that notices I get all the clearance yarn all the time, and they were going to notice it, and they were going to say, oh, I love your cane cover. And then I could say, oh yeah, I made it my favorite color, clearance sticker orange. And then they were going to laugh, and I was going to laugh, and it'd be like this funny moment. That's how it was supposed to go in my head, or that's how it perfectly went in my head. And so, but I thought, like, she's addressing my cane cover, and she was noticing that it was different than the one I had on the last time I was in there. And so I thought maybe I could try to say that joke, and maybe it'll like create this laugh moment between us. So I said, yeah, I made all kinds of cane covers and stuff, and this one I made in my favorite color, clearance sticker orange. And then I kind of like smiled or whatever, and she must have like either not heard me right or didn't know what to say. She probably felt embarrassed for me, and what she said was, oh, that'll work. And it was like this weird, it was like something weird and random like that. And so either she just didn't hear me right, or she just didn't know what to say, because she was like sort of embarrassed for me, because it would just the joke just completely fell flat. It was much funnier in my head, but whatever, it's just because I'm a ridiculous person. But I tried to make a funny joke, but it just completely fell flat. It was pointless. But anyway, and so all the rest of the stuff in this video is like stuff from Goodwill. When I was in Goodwill one of these days, because it's a couple trips all in one, I was in there and I had one of my cane covers on my cane. I think it was the first one I made with the Ice Yarns Picasso Rainbow. And so I was in Goodwill, and there was this woman that works in there, and she walked over and she said, that cane is crocheted, isn't it? And I said, oh yeah. And she said, did you crochet that? And I said, yeah. And we had this nice conversation about crochet and stuff. And she said that she used to crochet, but then she like forgot how to, because she hadn't done it for so many years. And then when she tried to pick it back up, she said, like, looking at one of those pattern books or whatever, it was like trying to read a foreign language and you not knowing how to do it. It's just like it was so completely foreign to her at that point, and she just didn't know how to follow it. And I had to resist the urge to say, well, I learned on YouTube, because I didn't want her to, like, Google, or go on YouTube and learn how to crochet, or like, yarn and all this stuff, and then come across my ass and see that, that guy that comes into Goodwill is just kind of this friendly guy that never really says anything, is like a ridiculous idiot on YouTube and getting all kinds of yarn and stuff from our local Hobby Lobby. But she said that she just doesn't crochet anymore. But she did say that one of the other girls in Goodwill does crochet, and she makes like the amigurumi and stuff, or I think that woman called them stuffies or something. But I knew what she meant, like the amigurumi stuff. And so she had asked that girl to make her some kind of amigurumi, and we just had this really nice conversation about crochet and stuff. Like, sometimes I'll go into stores and I'll have my ridiculous cane covers on my cane and stuff, or like like one of my hat covers, or something that I made, or like maybe I'll wear a couple cuffs or whatever. And I'm like always kind of leery of, like, getting harassed by some a frickin' you know what I'm saying, get harassed by some frickin' idiot or whatever, because you never know, like, especially nowadays, and our community and stuff, the people that we have to kind of worry about in our society and stuff. And so sometimes I don't put my cane covers on my cane, or sometimes I don't wear my hat covers. It just depends on where I go in the stores. But I had my cane cover on my cane, because I had it on my cane when I went to Hobby Lobby, and Goodwill's not very far from Hobby Lobby, and I thought, well, I'm just gonna leave it on my cane, even though it has all these pretty colors on it or whatever, and it's kind of sparkly in the way that Ice Yarns Picasso Rainbow is. But luckily I did, because that woman noticed it and stuff, and we had this really nice conversation, and I realized that she crochets, or at least she appreciates crochet and stuff, and I need to just, like, wear my stuff out and carry my stuff with me, or like whatever, and just like not worry about people. But you never know. And so I'm glad that I actually had that on my cane, and she noticed it and stuff, and she noticed that I crochet, and we had this really nice conversation and stuff. But that was just like one of the random days that I went to Goodwill. But these are like some things that I got at Goodwill on completely random days. Some of them are the same day, some of them weren't. I just have it all stacked up here. But this is the random stuff from Goodwill. This, of course, the shirt is like way too small to fit me. But it's a friend's shirt. It's a 2X, but it feels like it's a women's 2X. Oh, sort of speaking of that, this is where you just kind of, it's like a random thing to say. But I was thinking about, like, I'm not like working out, or like trying to lose weight or anything. But I have lost a little bit of weight, just like changing my diet a little bit. Just randomly. I'm not like intentionally changing my diet, but I've lost a little bit of weight, just not eating as many sweets. Or I still eat like sugary sweets and stuff, you know what I'm saying. I've sort of changed my diet over the past few months, just to, like, have more protein and more fiber and all that kind of stuff. And but it's made me lose a little bit of weight. I'm still a big fat ass, but I'm not saying that I'm like I'm real buff. No, I'm a big fat ass, but and I'll probably be one for the rest of my life. But I think about, like, how I've lost a little bit of weight. I used to weigh like between like 280 and 300, in that kind of range. And every time, I don't know if you're like me, but every time I go into Goodwill and there's a scale, I get on it. I never buy the damn things, but it's just like I see a scale and I think, I'm gonna see what I weigh. And then I've noticed, like, every single time, unless all the scales are completely wrong, and exactly completely wrong like all the other ones, every single time I step on it, I'm like in the 250 range. And so I've lost some weight. I mean, I haven't really noticed or anything, like in my face, or because I have all this hair and stuff. If I didn't wear such big clothes and all this big hair, maybe I would have noticed that I actually lost some weight. But I don't know. I would like to be a little bit healthier. But I thought, like, an attainable goal. Like, I'm not going to worry about, like, oh, I need to get down to this number. Like, I'm not going to worry about that kind of stuff, and I'm not going to worry about, like, how I look, because, like, even if I lost weight and got to be like the right size for my height or whatever, I'm still gonna smash that deal. I'm still gonna never be comfortable in my body or whatever, because, like, I'm gonna have, like, sagging skin or whatever. I've been such a big fat ass my whole life. It's never gonna, like, snap back. I'm gonna have like a 6-pack abs. Like, that's never going to happen. But so, like, if I'm thinking, like, maybe I could lose some weight or whatever just to feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more healthy or whatever. And so I wouldn't have to feel like I have to wear these giant oversized clothes and stuff. But what's weird is, like, this shirt right here, like, usually I wear those, you can tell in some of my videos and my thumbnails sometimes how big my shirts are because I just feel so uncomfortable all the time. I wear, like, a 6X, or that's the shirt that I usually wear. This is a 4X, and even this is feeling like a little bit baggy on me, so that's like a really good thing. So I feel like I don't have to wear like really big baggy clothes, but this is like, you know, the perfect kind of comfortableness for me. It's a 4X, but it's still not like small enough for me to be able to go into a store and see. This is the only I'm not saying that I want to lose a little bit of weight and get healthier and stuff, just to, you know, live a healthier lifestyle and prolong my life. And, you know, the only reason I would even think to like lose a little bit more weight and get more fit or whatever is to be able to just go into a store like Spencer's or something like that. And because I've said it in some of my videos in the past where it seems like every single time I see like a really cool like fandom related shirt, and like no matter where it is, they only go up to 2X, and which is just utterly ridiculous. And especially when it's like something like Nintendo or whatever, because like the Super Mario shirts and Nintendos and all those kind of shirts, they appeal to people like me that are like, you know, probably big fat asses and, you know, sat on our asses, you know, our entire childhood playing video games and aren't going to be able to fit into like a 2X or even less in their adulthood. And so like all these kids walking around, like 20-year-olds, but to me all these damn kids or whatever in their 20s and 30s, all these kids walking around with all these shirts on that, you know, act like, oh look, I got a Super Mario shirt on, when they wouldn't even know how to play a Super Mario game if their life depended on it. But like people like us who grew up with that kind of stuff, I would love to wear those kind of fandom related shirts and stuff, because they have a lot of really cool shirts in Spencer's and all that. Or like when I go like in Michael's and, you know, look for in their Pride stuff, and they have like some kind of cool Pride related shirts, but they all go up to 2X and they never have any sizes bigger than that. And so like I thought, you know, since I noticed that I'm losing a little bit of weight and I'm eating a little bit healthier and stuff, and like I think an attainable goal for me, something that I should, you know, kind of shoot for as like a goal is instead of like worrying about, you know, weights and all that kind of stuff, what I need to focus on is like maybe the goal should be if I could fit into a 2X shirt comfortably, like that would be like a really good goal for me to try to get to, because like like being able to go into Spencer's, or sometimes they have like some cool fandom shirts, very small section in Walmart, or like the, you know, the Pride shirts in Michael's, or, you know, wherever, like some other places that have some shirts. Like it would be really cool to go into these places and feel like as long as they have a 2X shirt, I would be able to like, you know, go through these shirts and actually pick one. But like when you're somebody like me that wears like maybe a 4X or 6X, you know, to feel even more comfortable, but like I can comfortably fit into a 4X. I know that, but I feel more comfortable in like a bigger shirt. But I know that I can comfortably fit into these shirts. But if you're somebody like me who wears bigger shirts and stuff, you can't really go into like a place like Walmart or Spencer's or whatever and just like think, I'm going to look at all these really cool shirts and actually be able to pick one as long as they have my size. Because, you know, I go through there looking at all those shirts, like especially in Spencer's, you can see just the front of them, like all these squares on the wall. I look at those and I think there's no point in even looking at them, because then they're not going to have any bigger than 2X. And so it kind of like diminishes the selection of like the shirts that I can get. I'm sure that there's probably some place online where they you know, can make shirts for like bigger people, but the selection isn't as big as like, you know, just being able to go into a store like Spencer's or Walmart or somewhere and just be able to look at the shirts and say, I could probably get one of these as long as they have a 2X. And then knowing that they probably will, or knowing that they might actually have my size. But like when I wear a 4, 5, 6X or whatever, I look through there and I'm thinking there's no point in even looking, because they're not going to have they're not even going to have a 3X. And so that's like sort of the goal when I realized that I had lost a little bit of weight or whatever, just, you know, naturally eating healthier and stuff. That would be something that I should shoot for. I want to be able to fit into a 2X shirt, so I can go into the store and just buy whatever shirt I want, and not have to, you know, worry about buying one online. But anyway, all of that just because of this little shirt that I'm never going to be able to fit into, even though this is a 2X, but this is obviously like a women's 2X. But it's a friend's shirt, and my mom found this in the shirts or whatever. She said, oh look, I got this for you, because she knew that I would never be able to wear this, but she got it from my collection. But it has friends on it. This is like the cast shot from the first season. But it's a Christmas shirt too, so it's like a friend's Christmas, and it says, Christmas is better with friends. And so it's this really cool shirt. I do have a lot of shirts that don't fit me just because I'm so big. but also because they're so small, they're like women's sizes. That even if I was small enough to fit into a 2X, it still wouldn't fit me. But I do have like some Lucy shirts, and I have some Rugrats shirts, and I have like some kind of fandom related shirts in my collections and stuff. But ones that I know that I'll never be able to wear and fit into, but I got them because they're kind of these cool fandom related shirts. But I'm glad I got that one. Oh, and I did get this. I got this the other day. I said at the end of my last video there were a couple other things. The other things were this yarn that I gotten, and then it was this Hedwig thing. It's a little backpack purse kind of thing for a kid. Although I can't imagine a little kid carrying this or whatever, because like the little pouch thing in the back, it's not even big enough to fit a phone in. This just seems like something that, for an adult to, like, put with their collection, because I can't see a little kid, carrying this. They would bitch it the whole time saying, but mommy, my iPhone TX G79 doesn't even fit in this thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? They would complain about it. Like, what does a kid have to, like, carry in a little backpack like this? This just seems like something that, is made for adults, but, is intentionally small to make you feel like, you're ridiculous for even thinking of buying this or whatever. Because, you're 40 years old and you don't need a little backpack that looks like Hedwig, carrying Harry Potter's Hogwarts letter in his mouth. But I got it anyway because it's adorable as hell. But this is priced at $4.99, and I had what my stores or my Goodwill store starting to do is they're starting to I reach 100 points. Like I said in my store, I don't know if your store is like this too, but for every $100 you spend in Goodwill, or for every $1 you spend in Goodwill, you get a point, and for every 100 points you get a $5 credit. It's also making me not want to round up, because the more I round up or whatever, because I don't have the guts to say, or I have the exact change, and I keep rounding up. I'm thinking like that $5 credit isn't really like getting $5. It's like it's getting the money back. I keep rounding up. So I'm starting to carry around exact change with me too. So that $5 credit will actually feel like $5. But what my store is starting to do is, or what it used to do is that when you'd reach that point, it would automatically take $5 off at the register. But now it's starting to say you go over 100 points or whatever, and then it's like on the bottom it says available balance $5, like for the next purchase. So like it's not taking it off automatically anymore, which it's kind of stupid. So you have to kind of ask for them to take the $5 off. So it's really stupid. But so I knew that I had $5 for my next purchase, and so when I saw this in there and it was $5, I thought I'm gonna get this for free, and so I got this for free. And I probably would have paid the $5, even though it does make me look ridiculous that I bought this freaking backpack looking thing that it's made for a kid, even though no kid would carry this thing. I mean, somebody that's going to be young enough to actually be able to carry this thing on their back comfortably is not going to be into Harry Potter. They're going to be into like the apps on their phones and stuff. And so it just seems like something that we'll make this for kids, even though like the kids that grew up with Harry Potter and love Harry Potter are now like 40-year-olds like me. And so they need to make these a little bit bigger so we can carry these things on our backs comfortably. But anyway, I got that for free at Goodwill with my $5 credit. And then I did get a lot of Harry Potter stuff. This is over like a couple trips, whatever. But I did get this. This is ridiculous. Like I only got this because it's Harry Potter. Like I'm not gonna wear this freaking thing. It's a Ravenclaw headband. Like I'm not gonna wear this thing. But it was $4.99. So I'm not going to wear this thing, I say, as I'm like putting it on my head like an idiot. But whatever. I just got it because it's a Harry Potter thing. Also because it's a Ravenclaw, which is what I am, if you care about that kind of stuff. But I am a Ravenclaw, so I thought that was really cool. Even though it was $5 for a freaking headband. It doesn't even have Harry Potter on the actual, well, I guess it does on the little label. But you're not supposed to like, wear it with the label on it. You're supposed to cut that off, but I would never cut it off. I'd be the type of idiot to be walking around with the label sticking out intentionally. Like, look, it's Harry Potter, look. But it does have Ravenclaw on it, so that's why I got that. And then I did get a Harry Potter game. This is a Harry Potter Magical Beasts board game. This was $3.99. It's a really cool board game. They do have a lot of really nice games, and I'm finding a lot of Harry Potter stuff in my local Goodwill. So it's shocking how many Harry Potter things I've found lately. I mean, ever since I came across that really nice like tapestry thing that what was it, vintage, like before the first movie came out, and like ever since then, like almost every single trip in there, I find something Harry Potter related to go with my collection. And it's another thing. And this is ridiculous that I even got this because this doesn't fit me, but I wish it did though because it's really cool. It's Harry Potter's Quidditch. So it says pOtter, and it has a number 7 on it, and it has like the hoodie on it, and it's really good. I mean, I guess it does kind of fit if I don't try to I mean, it fits like this, but it doesn't, you know, wrap around my big ass, because this is obviously for like a kid or something. But I mean, it's really cool, and the Gryffindor colors and stuff, and I mean, it's just really cool. But I got it from my Harry Potter collection, and the dream scenario in my head that, you know, I could actually fit into this in my imagination, but I would never be able to fit into this. But it's just really cool. So I had to go with my Harry Potter collection. And this was $3.99. It was over there where all of the blankets and stuff were. I guess I thought this was a blanket. I wish it was a cloak of invisibility. Anyway, I'm a ridiculous idiot. And then I got this. I can't remember how much this was, so I pulled the sticker off. But it's this really cool thing. Like, if this wasn't so heavy, I would hang this from my chandelier, my poor man's chandelier in my living room, because it's this big jewel thing, and it has all these. It's like a flower jewel, and then up here is flowers too. I got a big flower, and I love this kind. I do love jewels and stuff, but this is like really heavy. I'm sure this would, I do have one on my back door that has, it's like this Christmas thing, so I guess I could put that on my back door, or like, you know, in a window or something somewhere. But I really wish I could have put this on my chandelier, but it's a little too heavy. I'd worry about the weight of how I mean, this isn't glass or whatever, it's like that acrylic stuff, but it is like really heavy. But it would look really pretty on my chandelier, but if I didn't have so much stuff on it already. But I got that at Goodwill too, only a couple dollars. And then they did have one of those net bag things, another one of those things, because I do have one of these, because I was thinking about, you know, when I reorganize my yarn room and make room for my hauls and stuff, having like a net bag over there over my wash machine, and I'm having like some of the bigger yarns that aren't really heavy, like the plush yarns and stuff for scrunchies and stuff. I think that would be the perfect thing to put in one of these net bags, because they're big and obnoxious, but they're not like really heavy. Or I guess the Bernat crushed velvet is pretty heavy, but like the ones that are like the really thick plush yarns that aren't really heavy would go well in one of these net bags. And so I got another one of these. These were $3.99. This isn't exactly like the other one, but it's one of those net bags. So it's $3.99 for that. But anyway, the last thing in Goodwill was this. I'm gonna try to cover this, but it was this giant box with all these puzzles in it. And so it says 10 photo gallery puzzles. And so I saw this, and it's like all these puzzles, and you know, there's kind of like generic puzzles or like whatever. But the reason I got it is because one of the puzzles is the cat with yarn balls. Like I told you, I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff. I don't need any of these other puzzles and stuff. I'll probably either put them together, or my mom will. But this was $5.99. This was $6. But the only reason I got it is because of that puzzle right there with the cat with yarn balls. And so what I did was, because this was open, I was afraid that like I was going to spend $6 on this, and then like one of the pieces was going to be missing, because some of the puzzles in here are sealed, like brand new, and some of them were opened. And the one with the cat and yarn balls was opened. And so I thought, like, I'm not going to spend $6 on this and find out that, like, one of the pieces is missing. Or worse, like, even more than one piece. And so what I did was I actually stood in the back of Goodwill and, like, took the puzzle out and was, like, you know, counting every single piece to make sure that all 300 pieces were in it. And it was funny. This guy walked over, just like this random guy. I need to wipe my sweat with my sweat dabbing cups. But this guy walked over and he said, "Oh man, that's a really good idea. I don't know why I didn't think of doing that," because he said that he had gone in there one time and gotten a puzzle, and he was like in the middle of putting it together and realizing, you know, some of the pieces were missing. He said, "Next time I get a puzzle, I'm gonna do exactly what you did." That was really smart. And so that's what I did. I stood back there and I counted every piece, and it was exactly 300. And I thought, thank God, because I really wanted that puzzle. And so that's gonna be another puzzle that's gonna hang up in my ridiculous yarn room or whatever. It's just gonna look really nice on my wall with all of the other puzzles that I put together, and all the yarn that I'm going to be filling in all the other gaps with. But anyway, so I did get that. But anyway, I guess that's enough for this video. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.